super confused about how to use the peptide calculator, in other words, how much backwater are you going to put in? What's your dosage of peptide that you want to inject? It can be really confusing the first time you're doing this or the first couple times you're doing this. So I just wanted to, I get a lot of questions about this. So I'm going to try to be pretty quick, but I want to use this. You can just Google peptide calculator and you'll get options. Most of those websites are selling peptides, but if you're just using the calculator, it's totally a great tool. As always, this video is for educational purposes only and does not constitute medical advice or create a doctor-patient relationship. This one, omnicalculator.com, has this peptide dosage calculator here. I'm going to just throw up a couple of examples. Ignore the ads. That's obviously how they're making their money. And so when you first pull this up, actually, the only thing that for this website is already pre-populated is 1 in the bacteriostatic water. Now, just delete that, okay? I want to do vial capacity, and this calculator has, what does this mean? Insert the quantity of lyophilized peptide in the vial. So let's use something like 𝗙𝗏, which is probably one of my favorite peptides because it stimulates and helps the efficiency of the mitochondria. So usually a vial of 𝗙𝗏 comes in 10 milligrams or 5 milligrams typically. But let's use the example of, okay, the vial has 10 milligrams of 𝗙𝗏. Now the question is, what you want to do is you want to go down here to dose. And so this is the amount of the peptide that you need in each dose. In other words, whatever dose you were prescribed by someone who knows what they're doing. So if you want to do 2.5, now come over here and switch this to milligrams, revert it to 0. So 2.5 milligrams. If you've been directed to inject 2.5 milligrams of 𝗙𝗏 3 times a week, as an example, this is what you would do. Now, the question is, how much water should I inject? That's where most people stumble. And so you can go about this a couple different ways. You can put in, hey, what if I just put in 1 ml, which is what they had pre-populated. Then coming down here, you can see it actually populates itself. It does the calculation and says, pull the syringe to 25 units. This result is equivalent to 0.25 ml. We recommend you use a 0.3 ml or a 0.5 ml or a 1 ml syringe. Most people have the 0.5 ml syringe. In other words, you can pull it up to 50 units. That's 50. And so this on that would be pulling it up, approximately, not approximately, but exactly halfway. If you were injecting, let's actually take the bacteriostatic water number out. And what if you decided, hey, I just want to inject myself with 10 units on the syringe? And it gives you this little image here. So each tick mark is 1 unit. And so this is 10 units. It actually will do the calculation for you on how much bacteriostatic water you're supposed to put in. Did you see that? It populated there. So let me show you that again. Let me delete that. Look, the bacteriostatic water, there's nothing there. Hey, I want to pull up 10 units. Well, I only need to put in 0.4 mLs of water into the vial. So I usually recommend ideally between 10 and 25 units because that's just a really nice small volume to inject into you. You're not going to get any lumps underneath. You're using less bacteriostatic water, which does have alcohol in it to make sure that it remains sterile. For almost everybody, that's totally fine, but it still can be a little bit of an irritant to some people. So the smaller volume that we're injecting, the better it tends to be. Now, can you go as low as 5 units? Yes. Can you go as high as 50 units? Yes. You could go up to 100 units super easily. You just might end up with a little bit of a lump. Usually those disappear over time, but again, if you're shooting for a nice 10 units, this would do the calculation for you. Now, I'm going to use a different example. So let's just delete all of that. Currently with the company that I give my patients retatrutide to, they have a 12 milligram vial or a 24 milligram vial. Now, these are just examples, but let's use the 12 milligram vial as an example. So I put in 12 milligrams. This is for retatrutide. Now, if the dose is 0.5 milligrams, which by the way, 0.5 milligrams is the same as 500 micrograms. Okay, that added some zeros. So 500 micrograms is the same as 0.5 milligrams. I'm just going to stick with the milligrams dosing. Okay, it actually converted that. So again, let's just type a number in here, 10 units. Then I would want to put in 2.4 mLs of bacteriostatic water. Did the calculation for me. I don't have to think about it too much. Now, what if I was starting off really low and something like 0.25 milligrams twice a week, for example, and I wanted to pull up 10 units, then this is saying that I should inject in 4.8 mLs of bacteriostatic water into the vial. Question is that vial big enough? Now, with the company that I'm currently using, yes, that is enough. Many people's peptides will often the vials will only fit up to about 3.5, really more like 3.7 mLs, but you want to be conscientious of this. So if it's a really small vial, this amount of water would not fit in. So you want to be really sure. If it's a larger vial, you can put up to probably 7.5 mLs of water. They also have a vial of retatrutide that is 24 milligrams. So notice if I was starting with just 0.25 milligrams as my dosage to pull up 10 units, I would have to put in 9.6 mLs of bacteriostatic water. That's too much for almost all peptide vials. So you do want to be careful of that. Now, if I were willing to put in 25 units, which is super doable, then I would have to put in 24 mLs of water. So that just does not work, right? So in reality, if for me at least, I'm not going to give someone who is needing this small of a dose the 24 milligram vial. We're going to do the 12 milligram vial. But hopefully this demonstrates how you can use this calculator. So again, I like to do vial capacity because that's a set. It's like whatever number's on the vial. And then what's the dosage that you're wanting to inject each injection? So if someone were using 24 milligram vial, they're probably doing, I don't know, at least 2 milligrams a week. So maybe that's 1 milligram twice a week. If I wanted to pull up just 10 units, then I would pull up 2.4 mLs of water and inject that amount of water into the vial. So hopefully this is clear. And you can also just leave the units blank and say, hey, I'm just going to put in 2 mLs of water into the vial. Well, then it tells you 8.3 units. Now, you really want the units to be even, so maybe play around with that number, but I'm going to just notice, hey, 24, what if I put in 2.4? Comes out to 10 units. So the main thing is you want to put in the dose that you're injecting into yourself each time, and you got to put in the vial capacity. These two, because those are set, right? The bacteriostatic water and the units, those can both change. So you can enter one to get the other. So hopefully this serves everyone well, because I do get a lot of questions about that and it can be confusing. All right, take care.